So many people don't know this, but every year 7 million people die from air pollution. That's equivalent to Wyoming, Vermont, North and South Dakota, Hawaii, Nebraska, and Maine being wiped out every single year from emissions due to fossil fuels. So many experts, including those on the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, tout nuclear energy as a part of the solution to this problem. I'm credible to discuss this because while interning at NASA, I got an opportunity to look at a lot of data regarding nuclear energy and climate change. So today what I'm going to talk about is why nuclear is important, the downsides of it, and the science behind it. So first, why is nuclear important? So in many ways, but not all, nuclear is superior to renewable energy. The first of these is that wind and solar suffer from this problem called intermittency. So this means that wind is only blowing a certain portion of the time, and sun is only blowing a certain portion of the time. There can be too much wind or too much sun, which can overload the grid and cause blackouts. And when there's not enough, backup power plants must be fired up on the spot. And a lot of times these are older and more harmful to the environment than traditional plants. So nuclear does not suffer from intermittency. It's on demand, which also helps lower its price. Nuclear is also a cleaner energy source than renewables like solar. Solar panels are made of silicon, and this silicon must be mined and refined. The heating in the refinement process releases CO2 and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. And according to the Caltech physicist Nilay Fruitwala, solar releases 4 times more emissions than nuclear. So for all its promise, it does have some downsides. And one of the biggest ones is that, and most frightening, is that nuclear power plants are security risks. So terrorists could target them and cause a meltdown similar to that of Chernobyl. And for those who don't know, Chernobyl was a nuclear disaster in Ukraine. It killed 4,000 people and created an uninhabitable zone twice the size of LA. The second big drawback to nuclear is its extreme upfront capital. So nuclear power plants can cost upwards of $6 billion to construct and take up to 10 years to build. This being said, they produce much cheaper energy thereafter. So now that I've talked about the benefits and drawbacks of nuclear, I'm going to discuss the science behind it. So nuclear power is produced by this process called nuclear fission. And to understand this, we must first look at the famous equation E equals mc squared. That is, energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. So the speed of light is 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. So you can imagine such a huge number next to any mass, E equals some tiny mass times this huge number squared. Even the most infinitesimally small mass is still going to have a huge amount of energy within it. And what nuclear fission is basically the splitting of an atom, which is a small mass but still holds a huge amount of energy to release that energy. And nuclear power is the harnessing of that energy. So basically what happens is you have uranium atoms and these things in the nuclear reactor flying around called neutrons. And when a neutron is absorbed by a uranium atom, it splits and energy is released. This energy can manifest in the form of heat, which boils water, creates steam, turns a turbine, and this mechanical energy is then converted into electrical through a generator. So in conclusion, I've discussed why nuclear is important, and that is largely that it solves the problem of intermittency that faces renewables. And I've talked about its drawbacks, which are that it has an extreme upfront capital and it poses a very frightening security risk. And I would just like to end with a moment of silence for those 7 million people who die every single year from air pollution. If you guys wouldn't mind joining me for a moment of just bow your heads, close your eyes, and take a moment to engage in silent thought for these victims. Thank you. Thank you, guys.